Hi, and welcome to Kitt Penfold Astrology. I am Kitt, and welcome to episode 1. This is where we are going over October 19th to 26th, the astrological forecast for the week from Sunday to Sunday. We have some really major things happening this week, and it's all been culminating actually from this week when I'm recording this into the week of the Libra New Moon. We have Mercury conjunct Mars. There's just a lot of really potent things coming together over time. It's kind of spelling out our evolution. This is the way that I work with the planets. I believe that the planets all evolve along with us. That's why we're always working on new things. That's why we're always evolving to the next level, and we're never staying in the same place. At least I hope we're not. This week is calling us into the awareness of how far we've come and telling us to take the next steps into what it is that we've known it's been coming along this whole time. So grab your natal chart. If you don't have one, head to Astro. If you're a client of mine, head to that initial follow-up email that I sent you and that has your natal chart in it, or book a reading with me, especially the mini inbox Astro. You can order it at any time and then it comes to you within 5 days. You can say focus on the week of the 19th to the 26th and that will arrive in your inbox. So without any further ado, welcome to episode 1. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait. I'm going to be looking down at my notes here to make sure I don't miss anything because there's just so much happening this week in the skies. As you can see with the beautiful chart that I have up in front of me here, you can see that things are happening. And so the main focus of this video, we're going to be going through Mercury conjunct Mars that is up here in Scorpio. We're going to be looking at the Libra New Moon that's going to be coming in at the 28th degree of Libra. We're going to be looking at Neptune, who is just about, you can see right there, 0 degrees 4 minutes, about to regress or re-enter Pisces as it's been going through its retrograde motion. And we're going to be seeing the first of the Grand Water Trines that we've been talking about coming up over the next couple of months. I want to start with a little bit of a retrospective. So I'm talking about over here, we have the Sun in Libra and Chiron in Aries. Chiron is retrograde. This I'm bringing up because there has been so much energy over the last few days and this last week where we have been getting called to become really vulnerable. Maybe you saw my reel on Instagram. If you don't follow me there, come on over and follow me because there's going to be a lot more of these little deep dives within the week. I was talking about how at this point, there's a kind of a core wound. This could be something that happened in our early years. This could be something that's coming up right now, something that drags on some heartstrings and asks us, what are we ready to move forward with? Where have we grown enough that we are now strong enough to be able to step into a whole new sense of our personality, our ego, that sun kind of core self? All of it coming into a T-square with Jupiter is really expanding and asking for more wisdom around this whole energy. The reason I bring this up, even though it's ending today and will be dissipating over the next few days, is because I feel like it was this springboard into the rest of the energy that we are coming into this week. Depending on what rising sign you are will then dictate what houses Libra, Aries, and Cancer axis is happening for you. And then you'll be able to feel where that sun is lighting up and where it's about to get even more potent. That energy is about to get even more potent as the new moon in Libra comes up. But it's opposing Chiron retrograde in Aries. Where is that in your chart? Is it your voice? Is it your family, your career, your friends? Is it your inner self, your 12th house? Let me know in the comments below because I am just so fascinated as to how many different ways this is showing up for people right now. This is all leading us to this Mercury-Mars conjunction in Scorpio that happened this morning at 4 a.m. Central Time, so make sure you change this for your time zone. This will be majorly affecting the fixed signs. So who do I mean by that? I mean Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. As you can see here in Scorpio, we have Mercury and we have Mars that are conjunct at 18 16 degrees of Scorpio. This is the first of 5 conjunctions that Mercury and Mars are going to be making. We have this first one right now that lasts a few days, the second one on November 12th, the third one on January 17th, the fourth one on March 15th of next year, and the fifth one of April 20th next year, all happening in Sagittarius, Capricorn, Pisces, and Aries. This is something that's just starting now that I feel is going to be imbuing these planets with some very particular energy depending on where you have Scorpio in your chart, and it's going to be moving forward, telling a story and weaving a tale as we move forward into 2026. This is a perfect week to start bringing out your journal and start wondering about where Scorpio is in your chart, what house it falls in, and think about where you are finding great intellect and mental acuity coming together and perhaps taking action, being able to dive to the deep scorpionic, emotional, intuitive depths. Mercury conjunct Mars in Scorpio is also kind of bringing stamina to our communication, bringing a strength and a war-like energy about bringing something out of the depths, something hidden, something scorpionic. And so when we deal with this kind of energy, there are also some cons that can come into play. Like, for example, you might notice instead of saying things tactfully, you just want to bust out with it because you've been holding it in for so long. There are a lot of different ways that this can show up in a really beautiful way if you stay aware of the energy that Mercury and Mars want to bring forward. That kind of power, it's incredible, and it's exactly what we're needing right before the Libra New Moon, right on the back of the fact that the sun has been opposing Chiron. There's real juice here in that we have been understanding suddenly on an entirely different level what we need, what we want, who we are turning into after a year like 2025. Use this power and this strength of this conjunction that's going to happen more than just this one time to your benefit. Try to use it in a tempered way. Use that power and initiation in a way that can be positive for everyone involved, and try not to blow your top instead. One last thing I want to say about this Mercury conjunct Mars in Scorpio, and anyone who might be feeling really anxious about it, have a look at this. We have this conjunction here, and it is sextiling the south node and trining the north node. That gives whatever this piece that is starting to happen now, and we're going to see 5 times over in the next 6 to 8 months, this is a fated piece of information coming forward, maybe a fated piece of yourself standing up for yourself in a new way. This is not something you have to work for. This is something that is coming through you intuitively from the depths of Scorpio, and being able to be called into the scene, into the herd. So really allow yourself to feel into what Mercury is wanting to say here and what Mars is wanting to say here, because it's not too often that we get Mars in a place where it's doing its best work for us. The next little reminder around journaling, and by the way, if you hadn't noticed, I'm kind of obsessed with journaling and keeping track of our transits so that we know how our planets are growing for us, with us, around us, and how we ourselves are growing and evolving over time. The next pretty amazing little juicy place that you can start journaling from is the fact that when Mercury goes retrograde in a couple of weeks, technically the retrograde energy starts coming into play as soon as it hits the degree that it will be coming back to. So in this instance, Mercury's pre-retrograde shadow starts at 20 degrees of Scorpio. Mercury's then going to move forward into Sagittarius to 6 degrees, station retrograde, come back to 20 degrees, and then station direct. That is then when we're in the post-retrograde shadow. We're kind of shaking off the last little bits that Mercury was reviewing, revising. We're putting the last pieces together before it's able to move again forward into Sagittarius. Right now, this pre-retrograde shadow it's going to really affect you if you have major Scorpio or Sagittarius in your chart. So if you have any planets from 20 degrees Scorpio to the end of Scorpio and then the beginning of Sagittarius to 6 degrees and back again, those planets that you may have, or points, the midheaven, what have you, maybe it's your ascendant, it's going to be really lit up at this time with Mercury coming over it 3 times. And you're going to be able to probably tell, just even in this first time that Mercury transits those planets in your chart, how this retrograde is going to feel, what subjects are coming up, what people may be coming back and resurfacing. That's a very Mercury retrograde kind of deal. And how you maybe are going to deal with it entirely differently. Remember, Mercury just went through this incredible conjunction with Mars. I mean, this power is imbued again in this planet, and it's ready to do some new work for you. So bust out your journal, because this is going to be a really interesting time to be able to notice, how is your voice being impacted right now? How are you communicating, especially since it's been around this Mars? How do you feel like your intellect is being empowered? And then once Mercury hits 6 degrees of Sagittarius, that's where my natal midheaven is, by the way, and it's stationing right on top of it. Ooh, I cannot wait to find out what this is going to be about. As Mercury goes retrograde, it's going to be asking us to rethink, redo, reorient ourselves in a way that perhaps we didn't realize we needed to. And some really cool new research has been coming out from the Astrology podcast that when a retrograde actually goes between 2 different houses. So in this case, we have the sign of Scorpio and the sign of Sagittarius. And Mercury is going to be going over the border of both of these signs. So wherever these 2 signs are in your natal chart, those 2 houses and those 2 house themes are going to be really tied together. And there's a really good chance that one will affect the other or vice versa. So definitely start writing things down as of October 20th. And I'm going to be returning to Mercury retrograde because it's going to be hitting me big time. And I feel like there's quite a few of us that this time around, like Mercury retrogrades, they're normal. This is how it's meant to go. Mercury does this 2 or 3 times a year. We get used to it. But it feels like there's something really important going on, especially with the fact that it conjuncts Mars so many times over the next 6 months. And also because, what I'm getting to at the end of this video, Mercury is the first planet to complete the beautiful Grand Water Trine that is coming up at the end of the week. Now, here we go, the moment we've all been waiting for, when we have this beautiful Libra New Moon happening at 28 degrees. Libra is the scales. It's balance, finding harmony with self and with other. And Venus is its ruling planet. And it just so happens that this time that we have a new moon in Libra, we have the ruling planet co-present in the sign. I dug back a couple of years, and it turns out the last time that we had a new moon in Libra with Venus in the same sign was 2019. But it was opposing Chiron. And then the time before that was 2017, but it was opposing Uranus. So this is the first time that we're having a new moon in Libra where Venus is unaspected, where the new moon is unaspected, and the moon and the sun have just come out of a square with Jupiter. Squares are of Mars. They are a challenge. But when you have a beautiful planet like the benefic Jupiter involved, this is asking us to expand. It's asking us to find wisdom, and it may not feel wonderful and beautiful and like puppies jumping in a meadow. It's definitely there to help us, and it is lending us support. So this Libra new moon is bringing forward some amazing energy being unaspected and allowing us to really start on a new foot. All of the energy that we have had to move through in this year, in this month, this is the first major new moon since the eclipse season ended a few weeks ago. This is a new beginning on a whole new level. It's a new beginning within self, and it's a new beginning with the people around us. Or For some of you, perhaps this lands in your 7th house, and this ends up being a new partnership that comes into play. But I really think that the Venus co-present with this new moon is bringing a harmony into ourselves that we haven't been able to feel for a while. We are all exhausted. And it is so tough when you watch these videos over and over again saying, it's time to let go of something else. It's time to move into the new. It's time to look deep within you again. I know I am one of the people who's saying it, and I'm one of the people rolling their eyes in the background saying enough already. But here's the major thing. This isn't about us having to go out and find the thing that's going to make the change. The change is happening. The pieces that are coming into place around you, this is the work that's going on right now. And with this beautiful movement here of the new moon and Venus right here and all of the pieces that they have come through to get to this point, this is a potent place to start thinking about what you're ready to move into next, to congratulate yourself for the fact that you made it here. You may be crawling on all fours, but you're on the top of the mountain right now, and you can start to survey, look up, look out onto the scenery and say, wow, I have come a really long way. And I bet you that in 6 months' time, when we have the Libra full moon, you're not even going to recognize yourself at that point. So when October 21st at 7:24 a.m. Central Time, so make sure you change that for yourself if you are not in Central Time, that is when this beautiful energy is coming through. Again, get out that journal. Start to think about what you're ready to move into next, even if you're terrified, because that fog we've all been feeling, that's kind of where we know we need to go, but we can't quite see where it is. This is a moment, a pivotal moment, especially for people who are the cardinal signs. So that is Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, or anyone with a lot of Libra placements in their natal chart, or perhaps it's a Libra profected year for you. This is a huge new beginning. It affects all of us. And it's time that we allow this inner harmony, that we allow this energy of self-love and self-realization of what we've come through to come to our paper if you're journaling, or come into mind if you spend some time with this moment. The last thing that I want to mention about this Libra new moon is actually something about Venus. If you remember a week or so ago, Venus was conjunct the South Node here in Virgo. This was a huge moment of transformation and letting go of old karmic contracts, patterns, people, anything to do with those kind of Venusian, the values that we have for ourselves. She went through a gauntlet to get here. So now that she is co-present with this Libra new moon, this is a major moment to start looking at how you're willing to approach harmony, relationship with yourself, with other people. That could be spouse, family, friends, your clients. How are you willing to take this new Venus and start moving forward with her and these new values, the new justice in Libra, the new ability to weigh the scales and not just always tip them in the favor of someone else and being of service all the time, but allowing the balance between caring for self and caring for other all at the same time. Really embrace this energy. I understand that in our charts, it isn't always rainbows the entire time. And we definitely don't have all rainbows the entire time, with the fact that Mercury is conjunct Mars, that we have Saturn retrograde, Neptune retrograde, Uranus retrograde, Pluto has just gone direct, and it is absolutely overturning our evolution at the moment. But these kinds of sweet moments are going to be happening more and more as the next few months come forward and as 2026 comes into play. And it's time that we start really taking in those sweet moments for what they are. And here we go. Neptune that has been retrograde, our first little window of seeing what Neptune was like being in Aries for the last few months, it is now regressed or re-entered back into Pisces during its retrograde period. it's now only 3 degrees from Saturn, and Neptune is the dissolving of boundary, dissolving of the reality that we see around us. And sometimes in shadow, it can come up as like casting a bit of a fog. A beautiful side of Neptune is that it loves to be mystical. It brings an ethereal sense to a conversation, to a situation. It can be as beautifully intuitive and deep and watery as the sign that it's in now, Pisces. It also means now that whenever we have a Grand Water Trine over the next couple months, it's not just hitting Saturn. Because of that 3-degree orb, it's also hitting Neptune. So we have another degree of leaning into our intuition, leaning into what our gut is telling us to do as we move through these really supportive aspects to one another. Depending on where you have Pisces in your chart, just really make sure that as it moves back in and is in retrograde, that you're not starting to just brush over the details because it feels a little too nebulous to be able to look at. This is another one of those examples that I was talking about where a retrograde cycle is spanning 2 signs. So starting in Pisces, moving into Aries to just the very, very beginning degrees, and now moving back again. So wherever you have Pisces and Aries in your chart, whatever houses these are, there's a really good chance that they're very merged. And if you're the kind of person who really loves a good old retrograde Neptune in Pisces, have fun with this. Again, journal around it. How is it showing up? What is it asking you to rethink, to reevaluate when it comes to the boundaries you are dissolving, the pieces of yourself that you are meeting in a new, emotional, intuitive-led way? On October 22nd, we enter into Scorpio season. So happy birthday to all of my Scorpio sun signs out there. And this is a really beautiful time for the sun. It has come through a bit of a gauntlet to this point because it opposed Saturn when it moved into Libra. It had a square with Jupiter. It had an opposition with Chiron. And now the moment it moved into Scorpio on the 22nd, it is going to square Pluto. But really what it is that it's been going through up to this point has been preparing it, preparing you, your ego, your core self, that personality, your brilliance that you shine into a room. It has been going through a transformation. The way that you see yourself, or maybe how others see you, maybe it's your relationship with a father figure or a figure that holds a lot of weight in your life. That relationship has been transforming. And now that it comes into a square with Pluto is taking that to a whole next level. But the beautiful thing is whatever comes into play here, whether it be someone challenging you and saying, show how it is that you came to this conclusion, or it's yourself coming forward saying, I don't feel like I have been living my truth. Believe me that as the sun goes through this aspect with Pluto, it's going to be bringing about the truth, especially in Scorpio. Scorpio is all about going to the deepest depths and bringing up what has been hidden up to this point. You may feel yourself going into the hidden depths during Scorpio season because it's a time for you to go inward, to be able to investigate on all of the pieces that bring you to being your sun sign. Another really neat thing here is that the sun, who has just been in Libra with the ruler of Libra, is now in a sign with the ruler of Scorpio. So the sun is also getting a little bit of help here. They are two fiery kinds of planets. So there is a chance here that you might feel the fire is adding to the fire and there is conflict. But because of this square with Pluto, I think that we are getting given a chance to really bring those Mars and Sun energies together for good. It's not about getting fiery with people. It's about finding fire for ourselves, for our convictions, for the next way that we want to move forward, especially since this is all happening now in a fixed sign. Scorpio is a fixed sign. And that means that whatever it is that you are figuring out right now, it has a chance to stick around for the long term. This feels like a really perfect transition into Scorpio, even though some people might say, ouch, because this is calling us into like an intimacy with the truth. And it's asking us to find conviction within ourselves. So have fun with this energy, even if it just means that you're taking some of that beautiful, hidden, quiet time for yourself to reflect on everything that's coming up. Okay, this is it. This is the last piece I want to talk about for this week. And that is the first Grand Water Trine happening from Mercury in Scorpio, Jupiter in Cancer, and Saturn, Neptune here in Pisces. A trine is an aspect that is said to be of Jupiter. It lends support between the two planets. And when it's a grand trine, it means that there is this absolute connection between the three planets or points involved so that they are all supporting each other. Now, when you have a grand trine, it is tying together usually all the water signs or all the fire signs, all the air signs. You understand what I'm saying? All the earth signs. Sorry to leave you out. When we have a grand water trine, it means that we are operating through intuition, through emotion, through heart-led sensitivity, and bringing almost like an emotional balance, hopefully, into the conversation when it comes to the planets or points that the Grand Trine is hitting. And in this case, we have so many different planets that will be coming through this area here. We have Mercury a couple of times, Mars, Sun, Venus will come through here, the Moon will come through a few times, all tying together this trine that is already happening between Saturn and Jupiter. So at this point, we have Mercury, communication, intellect, being able to have a back and forth with people or understand a concept about ourselves and the depths, Scorpio, that we haven't really known about before. And it ties together wisdom and faith from Jupiter, and then also the form, boundary, the long term, and bringing that Neptune into the conversation, some of that mysticism, so that we are able to start understanding a piece of ourselves that perhaps we haven't been able to put into form yet. We haven't been able to understand and expand on yet. But now that Mercury is here in its pre-retrograde shadow, we are starting to put form to those ideas, to those thoughts, to that communication that is going to start moving us forward. So where do you have Scorpio, Pisces, and Cancer? You have been asked to come back to these three signs over and over and over again during this video, but believe me, we are being lit up here for the rest of the year. So keeping in mind that Saturn and Neptune are going to continue this trine with Jupiter in Cancer this whole time, and it just depends on what is coming through these late degrees of Scorpio that is going to complete the Grand Water Trine. I just wanted to tell you, I made a list of all of the things that we're going to be seeing through here. Mercury, October 24th, Mars comes in October 27th, the Sun comes in November 17th, the Moon, November 19th, Mercury then retrograde November 21st, Venus on November 25th, and then Mercury again as it's doing its direct motion on December 6th. That's a lot. That's 7 different grand water trines. So can you now see when I say, if you're sick of hearing it's time to let go or it's time to move forward and you don't feel like you can yet, this is why we can. This is the support that is coming in to help us forward. We may be, again, on all fours on the top of that mountain, wondering how the hell we made it up that side. But once we've got to the top, we find out that there was food laid out for us. We find out water was delivered. And not only that, but people are there to lend a hand, sew back up our tent, and put together our walking sticks for us so that the next part of our journey is now easier. We can bring our head up to look forward and see the vista around us and everything that we have just climbed the mountain to get to. The job isn't done, the journey isn't done, but we're finally at a point where we can now feel supported as we move into the new that at one point felt totally intangible. You made it through my first weekly forecast. Congratulations, and thank you so much for sticking around if you are still here. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. There are going to be deep dives coming every week, and if you come over to Instagram, Kitt Penfold Astrology, Kitt has 2 T's, then you can see more reels and more little shorter deep dives that I do during the week, as well as some other little special pieces that I bring into place. These videos are now going to be coming to you every Sunday, the weekly forecast, and then the deep dive on Wednesdays. And you know, I'm a Sagittarius sun and an Aquarius rising, so if I feel like changing things up and adding some things, you know I probably will. Lastly, before I go, I just want to mention I am making these YouTube videos and Instagram reels from Treaty 1 in Canada. And when I make my videos from the other home that I am very blessed to be able to be in, I am in the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. So holding a lot of gratitude for the land that we live on is a really important thing to me. Maybe when you pull out your journal this week, take some time to think about where you're living. Again, thank you so much for joining me on episode 1. Feel free to head over to my website, www.kittpenfold.com, to book a full natal astrology reading, or check out my mini inbox Astro reading, which is about a 30-minute reading that is delivered straight to your inbox via a unlisted YouTube link. Anyway, thank you for being here. Have a great day. Types won't even touch me. It's only my wardrobe keeping me sane.